Colossus.
The Marvel Universe has seen its fair share of video game adaptations over the years, some more memorable than others. A few years ago, Marvel turned to studio Raven Software to develop X-Men Legends. The success of the game and its sequel eventually paved the way for the ultimate dream matchup, Marvel Ultimate Alliance. Marvel Ultimate Alliance lets players control their favorite heroes like Wolverine, Iron Man, Spider-Man, and more. The game was ported onto every major platform, including the aging PS2 and Xbox consoles. While the console versions appeared identical in content, it was soon discovered after the game's release that Colossus of the X-Men and Moon Knight of the West Coast Avengers weren't present in the Xbox, PS2, and PSP versions, despite being almost identical to the Xbox 360, PS3, and Wii iterations in every other way. While new characters were added in the form of DLC to the next-gen platforms, no such additions came to the older platforms. Disgruntled Xbox, PS2, and PSP owners were forced to deal with their limited roster, though the tech-savvy turned to custom mods for their fix. However, a few years ago, a fan came forth and claimed to have found a way to legitimately unlock some of the characters missing from the original roster. Was it finally possible to play as Colossus or Moon Knight in the Xbox, PS2, and PSP versions of Marvel Ultimate Alliance?
Spider-Man, this is serious.
The instructions for unlocking Colossus and Moon Knight were fairly simple. According to a user named CLMB007, you had to play through the Xbox, PS2, or PSP version of Marvel Ultimate Alliance until the Valley of the Spirits level. After encountering Doctor Strange for the first time, you'd be able to collect the Crimson Dynamo training mission disc in the following area. Once you'd collected it, you returned back to Stark Tower. Once there, you made sure you had 4 players in your party. Then you went to the training simulator terminal and selected the Crimson Dynamo Versus mission. When the character select screen loaded up, you then removed all 4 team members from your party and then backed out to the mission select screen. Finally, you select the Crimson Dynamo Versus mission again. If it worked, there should have been at least 1 empty slot in your team. However, if you moved the cursor over that spot, it revealed the name of either Colossus or Moon Knight. If their names hadn't appeared, or if there weren't any empty slots, you'd have to reset your console and repeat the process. Once either character appeared in a slot, you could then begin the mission with Colossus and Moon Knight under your control. Though it took several attempts, we were finally able to get Colossus and Moon Knight's name to appear on the character select screen. We accepted the mission, and both characters were playable with all their powers intact. The only problem was that their availability was restricted to the simulator. However, another user named Iron Man Excel figured out a workaround that allowed the use of Colossus and Moon Knight anywhere in the game. Once you've successfully unlocked either character in the simulator, you begin the mission and then exit back to the game. Then you go over to any shield access point where you can change out your party. At the menu to change members, you remove all your characters and then select the option to create a custom team. However, instead of picking one of the preset teams, you back out to the character select menu. If done correctly, Colossus and Moon Knight will be available for use anywhere in the game. The one caveat is that you have to have already unlocked them via the training simulator method, otherwise they won't appear. Despite not being present by default, Colossus and Moon Knight were not only left in the final code of the Xbox, PS2, and PSP versions, but still accessible to use anywhere in the game. During our research, we also discovered something else intriguing. There were originally more hidden characters planned for the game. Activision originally intended to put Samus Aran and Link into the Wii version of Marvel Ultimate Alliance. We're not sure why they didn't make the final cut, but we know they existed because a few videos that surfaced later on showed both characters in action. However, the interface revealed it was running on Sony hardware, so it's possible this outraged Nintendo, who demanded their removal.